Greetings internet, it's Monica, and today I am so excited to be doing my May TBR. I am particularly excited for this TBR because May is Asian Pacific American History Month. Recently, you guys might know that I have been deciding to theme my TBRs, and I've really enjoyed this whole process. So in honor of this month, I have decided to read books by and about Asian people. I am Korean, so this is something that is near and dear to my heart, and this TBR definitely is a little bit ambitious, but my hope is that even if I can't get to all of these books, that I can just spread the awareness that these books exist in the first place. So the first book that I want to read has been on my TBR for a little while. It's been one of my most anticipated reads for honestly years, because I first found out about this book 3 years ago, I don't know, a while ago, and it is American Panda by Gloria Chow. Now I actually was I was at BEA and I was in line for Mindy McGinnis's The Female of the Species, and behind me was Gloria, and I believe this was she was at the stage where she had just gotten an agent or something along those lines, and we just got to talking about feminism and representation, and just everything she was saying about what she wanted to accomplish with her book just resonated with me so much. And so I've been so excited for this book to be picked up and then eventually released for so long since then. American Panda follows May, who is starting her first year at MIT. She has skipped some years at high school, so she's very advanced, and she is sort of the golden child for her parents, but her parents have sort of very high expectations for her and very specific expectations for her, and she doesn't really want to meet any of them. She is en route to being a doctor, but she hates germs, and they want her to meet and marry this nice Taiwanese boy, but she ends up falling for a guy who is anything but. And so this book is really about the sort of expectations of parents, and I am assuming also just that sort of extra guilt that I think comes from wanting to achieve everything that your parents want you to achieve when they've done so much to immigrate to America and give you this life. And so I'm really excited to pick this book up. It looks so cute. I love the cover too, so very excited. I guess it would also be helpful to talk about the specific representation in each book, but in this book, May is Taiwanese. Next, I want to read Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed. This is a book that I've wanted to read for years. I recently finally purchased this copy, but I've been following Aisha Saeed on social media for so long. I just think she's amazing, and I'm so excited for her next book, which I believe comes out this year. This story is about a Pakistani American family, and the main character is a teenage girl named Nyla, and she is basically being pushed into an arranged marriage, and she ends up having feelings for a guy that she meets in America, and then her family gets scared and they take her back to Pakistan to have her go through with this marriage. So this is a very difficult subject, and it sounds like a incredibly harrowing and beautiful story, and it's also one that I feel is very often in Western culture shown through a Western lens. I know, speaking personally, there have been multiple times when especially during the Olympics, there were a few times when Western media would talk about different problems in Korea, and they would do it through this Western lens that just didn't really understand the full sort of nuance of the issue and what was really going on, and just sort of painted the whole culture in this villainous way. And I think similarly the issue of arranged marriage is very much so treated the same way in America and by people who aren't part of that culture. So I'm really excited to read about this from Aisha Saeed's perspective. I honestly cannot believe that I haven't read anything by this author yet. It's ridiculous. And it is Outrun the Moon by Stacey Lee. So this book takes place in the early 1900s in San Francisco, specifically in Chinatown during the earthquakes that occurred in 1906 in San Francisco, and you follow the main character Mercy, who lives in Chinatown and is the child of Chinese immigrants in San Francisco, and she goes to this predominantly white upper class private school, and I'm assuming it looks at sort of like the issues of racism at that time period, and then also just like what it was like to live during this natural disaster. Reading more about Asian American history is really important to me. It's something that I realized I'd never really done until I started reading the second Diviners book, and Libba Bray actually like delves into the Asian population in New York City during the 1920s and sort of the birth of Chinatown. And I was like, why have I never thought about this? Why did I not realize that all of this was taking place during the 1920s? Like, all I hear about is like flappers and never about like the actual like issues of the time. That's something that is like really important to me, and so I'm really excited to read this and more Stacey Lee books, because that is something that she really focuses in on. Sorry if we just moved around a bit, my camera battery died. Whoops. So the next book that I am so excited to read is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. You guys might know, if you watch some of my other videos, that I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu was one of my favorite books of last year. That book followed a girl who, it was basically like a romantic comedy that followed this girl who tried to like implement Korean drama tropes into her romantic life, and it was hilarious and over the top and brilliant. This book also follows a Korean American girl. I believe she is like specifically Korean Brazilian, I think. And this I'm so excited about because it follows like another sort of interesting element of like Korean culture in today's US, which is like Korean fusion food trucks and like food in general, which I feel like is this big trend, and I'm so excited because this is about that. Well, I mean, it's not about a food truck, it's about a girl who ends up having to work in her family's Korean Brazilian food truck, and it is again like a romantic comedy contemporary story. I'm so excited. I just loved so much the way Maureen Gu wrote family and sort of the relationships that the characters had. I thought it was so fun, so I've been so excited for this book and highly anticipating it. And this is actually an early edition, but this one comes out in May 2018. The next book I want to read is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This is a book that I actually did a sponsored video with Simon & Schuster for a couple of videos back, and I was so excited when they reached out to me because promoting books by and about Asian characters is like my ultimate. This video is not sponsored, by the way. Like, I feel like I always have to say that because like I want people to understand that like after a sponsored video, I'm under no obligation to ever talk about that book ever again. I also don't do sponsored reviews of books, so just putting that out there in case it's unclear. But anyways, this follows two characters who end up developing this really intense connection via text, and that's something that I'm like particularly really interested in because I think it's like an element of our culture today that I haven't really seen discussed via literature before. So I'm super fascinated in how that is going to be discussed. I've heard that there are like trigger warnings in this book for body shaming and sexual assault, so I want to throw those out there. The last physical book that I am hoping to read next month is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. And this features a Taiwanese main character who at the beginning of the book, her mother commits suicide, and she is convinced that her mother has sort of turned into this bird. It's based off of this like mythology or story that comes from her culture, and so she ends up going back to Taiwan to find her grandparents and investigate this belief further. And I've heard that this book is just absolutely beautiful, so I'm really excited to dive into it and just experience this writing because I've just heard such wonderful things. And then these next books I will be reading digitally, whether via audiobook or ebook. A lot of them I have requested or have checked out from my library, so really excited for all of these. The first one is Arusha and the End of Time by Roshni Chokshi. This middle grade book follows an Indian American main character and is inspired by Hindu mythology. This book follows Arusha, whose mother runs a museum for Indian art and culture, and she ends up bringing her classmates to the museum and sort of tries to show off for them and ends up like awakening this god, and calamity ensues from there. I'm really excited for this one. It just sounds really fun, and I love middle grade, which is a new development for me. Not that new anymore, I guess. It's been a few months, but I'm just really excited for this one. It sounds really cute, and I've heard such wonderful things about it. I really enjoy Roshni Chakshi's writing. I read The Star-Touched Queen by her, and I just think her writing is like very pretty, and so I enjoy just reading it in general, so I'm really excited to read a new book by her. The next book that I'm planning on picking up is Juniors by Cowie Hart Hemmings, and this book follows Lee Lane, who is part mainlander, part Hawaiian, and it's a contemporary story about moving to the mainland and adjusting to that life, and just sort of having your foot sort of into places and what that's like. And this sounds super interesting to me. It also sounds very summery and lovely. I'm also really interested in this because Lee comes from poverty, but she ends up having to be part of this sort of like, or go to this sort of like upper class school, and I'm just sort of like perpetually interested in sort of that specific type of dynamic because it is one that I can relate to. This next one, it's another one that I can't believe I haven't read, and it is Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I know, I haven't read this book yet. Who even am I? If you don't know, this is the third and final book in the Lara Jean series, the trilogy. It is a contemporary YA, adorable, lovely story following a Korean American girl. She is half Korean, half white, and her family is just amazing, and the story is just so cute, and I'm so excited to finally know how her story like ends-ish, because like obviously her life continues on after the end of the book. That would be a twist though if she didn't like survive. Anyways, really excited to read this book finally because it's been like a year since it came out. Wild, I know. And then the last book that I am hoping to read in the month of May is China Rich Girlfriend by Kevin Kwan, and this is the second book in the Crazy Rich Asians series, which I loved. Crazy Rich Asians, the book. I thought it was so fun. It follows like really like hella rich Chinese Singaporeans. It's basically like Gossip Girl, but much more over the top and amazing. And I am so hyped for the film, which comes out this summer. That is like my most anticipated film of the year. It looks so fun. I don't even like comedy, which people always judge me when I say that, but I don't really like comedy. But I'm really hopeful that I will like this one because Constance Wu is everything to me, so I am just hyped. So yeah, these plus a few others are the books that I am hoping to read in the month of May. This is obviously a very ambitious TBR, but all of these books are on my TBR just in general for the year of 2018, so if I don't get to them this month, I will get to them in the near future. If you've read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you just have recommendations for more books to look into, I would love to hear them. Anyways, if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. If you have already subscribed, you can hit the bell icon, and that will send you a little notification every time I upload. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!